So, whose idea was this?
I had an idea. I had this concept that I wanted to go and do like an on-stage autobiography.
Sorry?
Just because you picked up your level then when you started doing the interview. Take it right down.
I was trying to sound interested.
I know. Okay, off you go again. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Less interested this time. Yeah, so it's your idea. It's your idea.
Yeah, I had this idea to do like an autobiography, but on stage instead of writing it down and putting it into a book. Different publishing companies have approached myself and Brian over the years, asking us if we'd write down, the stories of our lives in boy bands traveling around the world. But there's some fantastic stories which are very funny, but they're much funnier if I tell them rather than you read them. So I had an idea going on stage and telling stories. And I went to see Brian performing one night, and he was doing a solo gig in a place called Whelan's in Dublin, which is a very credible kind of live music venue. And he rocked the place, blew the roof off the place. And afterwards I said, man, that was brilliant. And then I said, do you want to come on the road and tell stories? And Brian said no. It took me 6 months.
I said, when are we going?
So I thought it'd be much better if we both did it together, and then we could sing some songs, we could tell some stories, and we'd have a much better time when they're all together, So it's somebody to share the experience with.
Yeah.
So how does the kind of music play into the live show? Do you have set songs that you want to do every night, or...?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, obviously, if we're telling our life story and our career story, music's a massive part of that, because our everything that Boyzone have achieved in Westlife have achieved musically, obviously has to be the massive part of that story. So when we tell stories about, I don't know, our first single or, a song that has something to do with maybe comic relief, we'll always perform that in the show. So even though we're telling stories, we're kind of singing the stories too.
And you're both singing on each other's tracks as well?
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. We had a great session last night. We're starting to get the music together for the show. So we were trying to find keys and find out who's doing what lyric and stuff like that. So Brian's learning Boyzone songs and I'm learning Westlife songs and Boyzone songs because I never sang them the first time round.
Yeah.
So it's I know. So so it's actually great fun. We got very excited last night.
We had it. I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of what the tour is going to be because it was the first time we was singing and rehearsing together, and we ended up doing it with a bottle of vodka. And it just happened so much easier that way. And the hardest part for both of us was not trying to sing like the original people that did it, because he was going to go, how did this is the way Shane and Mark did it. And for me, every time I hear Ronan's voice, it was so hard not to try and mimic it. To try and take, because if you think of some of the Boyzone songs like Picture of You or their cover of The Gone Gets Tough, like they were on radio every single day and we never got away from it. So it's so hard to hear them any other way than the way the original Boyzone record was. So that's going to be the challenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
Try and make them fresh and stay away from the originals.
We didn't know how that was going to go, but from a little indication last night, we're very excited.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So it's going to be you two and a bottle of vodka on tour?
Oh, no. We're very professional when we're performing.
We'll have a case of vodka.
Yes, no. or a truck.
Surely it doesn't matter, as soon as the song starts, the whole audience will sing along as well. So
that would be great if they did help us out.
Yeah.
But the show that we're doing is not, it's not focusing on music. There is music involved. Obviously, we've got over 20 number ones between the two of us, so we will be incorporating those number ones in the show. But the actual stories and the laughter is very important too, and we've got some great stories.
The whole show is a celebration as well, and that's what I think is what we're looking forward to the most. It's not like we've done tours in the past with our bands or by ourselves, where you just go out and sing songs and perform. This is a celebration with these fans that were there from day one. Like there's going to be Boyzone fans that have been supporting Boyzone for 20 years, and the same with maybe Westlife fans for 15 years, and for us to kind of see them now, a lot of them are going to be grown up. They might have been teenagers when they started supporting us, and now they're 35, 40, and it's us all celebrating together what we've kind of gone through.
So tell me about the stories, because obviously these are fans, they're going to know quite a lot of background and things like that, but they won't have seen what happened behind the scenes, will they?
Well, that's just what I was going to say. They know a lot of the stories that went on, that have been told, but there's a lot went on that they don't know, and behind the scenes, and how we felt. And they would have a perception of how they think we felt at a particular time. But we were trying to deal with our success at the same time that the fans were. So we probably were in a different place than they imagined. And some of the places we ended up, some of the fantastic opportunities we had to travel around the world, from Asia to South America to Australia, the different people we met, the different performers that we got to perform with. There's some great anecdotes, and we're not giving anything away. You want to know them, you got to come to the show.
Oh, see, that was going to be my next one.
I'll give you one example from me, from Westlife, when we did the If I Let You Go video. You know, people watch that video every day, or fans watch it every day, and they look at it and they think they know everything about that video. In the last shot, all 5 of us are walking off into the sunset. But what you don't actually know is all of us had our man bits hanging out the front of our trousers. So all you can see is the back of us walking away, but little do people know that if you could just turn around and look at the other side, we were all basically hanging out at the front.
You know, you do have to have a laugh when you're in a band, and it's the little things.
Like that. We thought it was a big thing, but clearly it was just a
It's
little
the
thing.
little things.
They drive you nuts.
It's
Stop
such,
screwing around.
it's such a unique experience, though, isn't it? Being in a band, and also like spending so much time with guys.
Yeah.
Like,
You know, this is what is strange about this, because it's not a unique experience, because the two of us have had pretty much the exact same experience. And that's why, you know, we're loving doing this show, because, you know, we could have sat here on our own and told all these stories about being in a band and talking about our success, but the fact that our stories are so similar that we can kind of talk to each other, even though we're from, you know, from completely different bands and different, almost a different time as well, but we can still sit and talk about all the same stories. I think that's why, that's actually what makes it unique, is that our life is so unique, but actually two of us have had pretty much the same life.
I love that. It sounds like it's going to be really funny. And you were both very popular overseas, weren't you, as well? So you're taking this internationally.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is very exciting. I mean, initially we were just doing the UK, and then the interest grew and grew and grew. Through social media, we got requests to go to different parts of the world. So we said, look, we're doing it. We're on the road. Let's go where people want us. So I think we're going to Dubai and Abu Dhabi. There's a lot of requests in Asia, but we can't fit that in this side of Christmas. We might do that after Christmas. So we're going to, like I say, UAE. We're going to Germany, Denmark, Holland, South Africa. I mean, the list goes on and on. So it's very exciting. You know,
Namibia.
Namibia. We haven't travelled together before. We did European tours together as the two bands when they toured together. But for me and Brian, this is going to be a great adventure, you know. And as Brian was
The people around us is going to be a great adventure, because for years and years, the people that used to work with Boyzlife would go, oh, just keep an eye on Kieth, he's going to be a handful. And the same with Westside, keep an eye on Brian. Now they've got two of us.
Two of us together.
They've got two of us.
But they say two negatives make a plus, so you never know.
Sounds positive to me.
Yeah. But for years, obviously, we thought the memories of Westlife and Boyzlife for us were way in the past, and our career for that is in the past. But now our past has become our future, which is quite bizarre.
It is gas, isn't it? Because we really originally only thought we were going to do maybe 2 or 3 shows. Like, we'll do a show in London, maybe a show in Dublin, maybe in Belfast. And it was just for us to kind of, you know, get all these stories out and talk about it. We never knew it was going to turn into what it has now, where, as you say, you know, we're traveling all around the world doing this show. And it is really bizarre that talking about our past has become our future.
You could probably do another show afterwards about doing the tour and
We
traveling
will,
around. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It's another chapter in the book.
I'm interested in the fact that, you know, you decided not to kind of do the traditional biography thing, because obviously that's quite a big industry, isn't it? People telling their stories.
I think Kieth said it perfectly. Is, you know, we could just write a book, but the stories and the experience we've had, they're so much better when we tell them. When we tell you in person how it was, because we can act it out and you feel like you were there. And obviously with the way me and Kieth are as well, with our personality, sometimes you mightn't get what we're saying on a piece of paper. You might think we're being literal, or
we're quite animated when we're telling stories.
Slightly.
So you get a much better picture. It feels like you were actually there.
It's weird because you can always take the written word out of context, but when someone tells you a funny story, by the tone of voice you can tell.
Yeah.
Like, it's more of a, you can, anyway, it comes across clear.
That was a thought for us as well about not doing autobiographies and in this show, is that no one can twist what we say. You can't twist words because it's coming out of our mouth, and I think that, you know, we could write autobiographies, but this is such a better way to do it. You know, it's like a recap of our lives.
How do your families feel about you kind of going away for so long?
I haven't told them yet.
They're very excited for the project, and we had no idea that when we put these dates on sale that they were going to be so successful. I mean, the UK sold out in 6 or 7 hours, which was amazing. Obviously, we felt great. Our ego went through the roof, and there was no living with us for 2 days. I'm joking. But at the same time, you know, my family, for one, like my wife and kids, they're used to me being away working. So it's just another job, really. I'm going to be away for a while, but they'll come and join us on tour. They'll come out for the weekends. Whenever they have some free time, they'll come out and join us.
It's nothing new for our families.
No, our families are
very
very
like this.
They're very supportive of what we do.
But they can't wait to get rid of us most of the time. So.
How has it changed though? Because when you were initially on the road, you didn't really have the kind of Skyping, FaceTime kind of access that you have now. That's completely changed.
It's changed everything for everyone, I think. You know, as you said, when we started out, and same with Kieth and Boyzone, you know, when I had my kids, I only got to see my kids when I saw my kids. But, you know, right now you can FaceTime anyone on the spot, even while you're working you can talk to them. So it has made life a lot easier for touring and travelling the world, for definite.
In the early days, touring Asia, there was no mobile phones. So I remember, I was only telling the lads last night, I'd get home to my hotel in the evening, and the time zones were so different that I'd have a message on my hotel phone, and that's how I communicated with my wife, was leaving messages for each other.
You couldn't even talk.
Because the time zones were so different.
Yeah.
And obviously connecting with fans is slightly different now. Like you said, you had the demand from social media to go to different places that, I mean, you probably would have heard about that before, but you might have got a letter or, you know, phone calls.
But we never had that social media access out of our bands. We kind of finished before all of that. And it's a shame, because I would love to have gone back to the days and to be able to have that kind of instant contact and that, you know, consistency with your fans. I think, you know, bands like One Direction now and 5 Seconds of Summer and all these bands that are out, they've got such a great, you know, rapport with their fans because they can constantly keep them, you know, aware of what they're doing, keep in contact with them. And I kind of wish we could do that, because in our day, the only way we could see a fan person to person was if we did a record signing or something like that, and that was only once a year. So I wish we had have gone through that kind of period there now.
And also, if you wanted to kind of correct something that was in the paper or rumours and stuff, you had to put out an official statement. Yeah. Whereas now you can just do like two-line things saying, yeah, that's rubbish.
That's bullshit.
Hashtag rubbish.
Hashtag, what are you talking about?
Do you use social media to kind of keep people updated with what you're doing?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think everybody's on social media now. And it's great now to have a product that we can actually use social media to promote. You know, it's kind of like it's a novelty really, you know, and it's going very, very well. But it is a great way, like Brian said, for your fans to get in contact with you and to inform you how they perceive things. It gives you an insight into everything that's going on and how other people see things, which is great.
Now, you mentioned One Direction. I'm going to have to ask, because obviously they're still absolutely huge.
They're not even together anymore, but yeah.
Pardon?
They're not even together anymore, but yeah.
Well...
Are they, aren't they?
Do you think they'll get back?
I think they're hiding out in a cave making a new album, braiding each other's hair. Yeah, that's my vibe.
That sounds good, yeah.
Sounds real.
Well, as you guys have got the experience, so yeah, I'm going to have to bow to you on that one. Obviously, people ask you what you thought when Zayn left, because you left kind of early. Yeah. What did you think? Could you see what he was going through?
No, I think our two situations were completely different, you know. I was kind of shocked when he left, to be honest with you. I think, you know, the stage of our career when I left, it was kind of, we'd already peaked. We'd sold the most records we'd ever sold, and we'd stopped having #1s at that stage, and we'd already had all that big success, and it was time for me to wind down. But he seemed to leave right in the middle of it being huge, and it just didn't make any sense. And I know some of the boys, and there was never talks of any of them fighting. There never seemed to be any kind of problem. So it was a shock for everyone that he left. But you can see now he's dealing with anxiety problems and stuff like that. So you just never know. He's only a kid at the end of the day. You don't know what's going on in his head. But listen, we wish him the best, you know, and I hope it all works out for him.
How do you feel now about when you left?
How do I feel now about, like, it's so long ago now, you know, it's been, 14 years since I was in the band? Is it 14? No, 12 years. 12 years since I left the band. I haven't really thought about it in a long time, you know. I was in Westlife for 6 or 7 years, and I've been out of it for twice that. So it's just another part of my life. I suppose it's like looking back at school or college or anything else. And
they always had those helplines when people left as well. I remember.
I know, I was on it all night.
Pardon?
I was on it all night. What have I done?
Brilliant. What else was I going to ask you about? So, since you left and the kind of band's kind of wound down, what's the kind of best offer that you've got? Because I know both of you have done loads of TV, and you've done loads of acting, and you've both done like reality stuff as well. What was the most fun offer that you kind of got?
Fun offer? I don't know. I'm sure we've both been offered to do the jungle and stuff like that. That's probably as fun as it gets, really. You always get some weird things, and most of the managers would even tell us about it.
I remember getting a gig for ITV. Sometimes you get a nice offer of a gig to present the show in Australia, and basically they were giving away a free holiday, and I had to go to every state of Australia and do typical tourist activities in each state on camera to go back to promote this holiday they were giving away. And it was just like an all expense paid, fantastic trip across Australia, and it never went out. They never used it because of the war in the Middle East. There was no the flight path or something. They couldn't use it, so it was great because I was crap on camera, so it meant I didn't go out, and I had a fantastic 5 weeks in Australia.
Steady.
That is brilliant. And you've done lots of kind of reality judging things as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I was a judge on Australia's Got Talent.
That was a good gig to get.
Yeah, it was fun. It was really interesting. You know, I've never really wanted to do anything like an X Factor or The Voice where you're just watching singers. Because I remember when you were a judge, the worst thing was when singers would come out because it's just people singing. And what I loved about Australia's Got Talent was everything was different when it came out, and it never ceased to amaze me. Something would, you know, even if it got really boring, we'd see.
And it never went out. They never used it because of the war in the Middle East. There was no the flight path or something. They couldn't use it, so it was great because I was crap on camera. So it meant I didn't go out, and I had a fantastic 5 weeks in Australia.
Steady.
That is brilliant. And you've done lots of kind of reality judging things as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I was a judge on Australia's Got Talent.
That was a good gig to get.
Yeah, it was fun. It was really interesting. You know, I've never really wanted to do anything like an X Factor or The Voice where you're just watching singers. Because I remember when you were a judge, the worst thing was when singers would come out because it's just people singing. And what I loved about Australia's Got Talent was everything was different when it came out, and it never ceased to amaze me. Something would, you know, even if it got really boring, we'd see, you know, 300 or 400 people a day just sitting there coming through. And just when you think it's about to get boring, somebody walk out, like the one day the guy walked out who was able to fry a sausage by putting electric through his nipples into a sausage with forks. That apparently is a talent. And it was very interesting.
Another thing you can take away on your stage tour.
Absolutely.
Egg sandwiches for everyone.
Yeah.
And finally, obviously you've done quite a lot of acting as well. How do you pick what you want to do, or do you kind of
Yeah,
weigh
but it's
up?
not the acting
He
world.
just takes what Brad Pitt turns down, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the acting world is a hard world. It's a world of rejection, really. You only hear about the jobs people get, but you don't hear about the jobs that people don't get. I was very lucky to have had 10 years in Coronation Street, and I loved it. It was great. It was a great learning curve. It kind of gave me a new career, and I went on then to do a lot of theatre work and stuff like that, which you couldn't do unless you had the grounding of intensive work like Coronation Street, and it gave me the confidence then to go forward and do other things. So I love acting. I love doing that. It's a passion of mine, and I will again in the future. But for now, I'm just very excited about myself and Brian going on the road, traveling the world, and coming to see everybody out there.
Perfect. Can I finish by getting you to do an ident? Can you imagine how many you've done of them through the years?
It's like, hi, I'm Brian. I'm Kieth.
You're watching.
I was waiting for it.
And you're watching Entertainment Now. If you look down the camera.
Hey, I'm Brian.
How you doing? I'm Kieth.
And you're watching. What you say was Entertainment Now?
Yeah.
Well, should we say our full names in case they go, who the fuck's Brian Kieth? Hey, I'm Brian McFadden.
I'm Keith Duffy.
You're watching Entertainment Now. Keep watching. Very good.
Thank you very much. Perfect. That's very